Hello there everyone, and I thank you for tuning in. In this video, we're going to be talking about communism in the Fallout 4 video game versus how communism is treated in the Fallout TV series. And clearly, the subject is given a completely different treatment. And I mean completely different treatments, laddies. And this is a bit of a sticking point, at least for me anyhow. Because the Fallout show veers off in a completely different direction when it comes to communism. The video game follows a fictionalized America that emerged victorious after World War II and then stepped off on this weird and trippy alternative history where technological advancement exploded in a cool, retro and futuristic direction. There were robots, nuclear-powered cars, wearable computers, all in that 1950s style and decor, which I think is just fantastic. But then a scarcity of resources led to a war with communist China that peaked at the Battle of Anchorage, Alaska on January 10th, 2077. But of course, America won the battle and war. The Red Chinese Communists, defeated and desperate, then launched secret and dastardly preemptive nuclear strikes on major American cities from submarines they secretly stationed along America's east and west coasts. The United States retaliated with their own nuclear arsenal. And so the world ended on October 22nd, 2077. We get confirmation of the Chinese nuclear sub-attack in the game when we encounter a stranded submarine in Boston Harbor that survived the war and meet its captain, who is now an irradiated ghoul 200 years after the bombs fell. And we see all kinds of anti-communist propaganda posters plastered throughout the ruins of the Commonwealth. And they look pretty much like some of the real anti-communist posters of our own Cold War era. I think the game does a fantastic job of framing the narrative with these classic opening scenes. It really captures the dread of, the end. I grew up during the Cold War era, and this intro faithfully captures this particular existential nightmare very, very well. As a child, I watched the Cecil Turtle Duck and cover movies in elementary school. I practiced ducking under my desk, and I knew to look out for those fallout shelter signs at schools, stores, offices. They were everywhere. So yeah, Fallout 4 is clearly founded on 1950s Cold War America, and the bad guys are clearly Maoist Chinese Red Communists. And this opening scene is all too real for those of us who lived through it.
He's fine. We're gonna be okay.
Now, to be fair, communism as a political ideology takes a back seat in the game. It is there in the background, but no one actually talks about it. It doesn't come up in any serious way. But we see communism re-emerge in dramatic fashion when we get to unleash Liberty Prime. This nuke-hurling, communist-hating killing machine is exactly the kind of weapon Americans should have used in the real Cold War that could have brought the Chinese commies to their knees.
Primary targets: any and all Red Chinese invaders.
He's terrifying, cold and ruthless. Liberty Prime has been programmed to hate communists, to track them down and eradicate them. He barks out pro-American and anti-communist slogans as he hurls mini-nukes with the kind of dark humor only Americans can come up with. For example,
Freedom is the sovereign right of every American. I am Liberty Prime. I am America. Democracy is truth. Communism is death. Honoring the fallen is the duty of every red-blooded American. Freedom is always worth fighting for. liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Communism is the very definition of failure.
You have to love this monster, really. He's the ultimate patriot. With nuclear bombs.
Democracy, a form of government in which the leader is chosen by vote and everyone has equal rights. Death is a preferable alternative to communism. Embrace democracy, or you will be eradicated.
And it's a miracle, really. Neither side came up with something like him in real life. Boggles the mind, really.
Destroy all communists.
So, without a doubt, communism plays a central role in established Fallout lore. But the dominant ideology in the Commonwealth post-apocalypse is survival. Survival no matter the cost. Capitalism still rules the world of Fallout, with bottle caps serving as the new currency and competition for food, water, weapons, and other resources still a matter of worldwide concern. Capitalism, tribalism, and a might makes right mentality prevail. Now, the Fallout television story does a fantastic job of following the video game story fairly well, and I have to confess, I actually love the show. And this opening scene is one of its finest moments. Fans of the game will recognize and appreciate just how much detail went into preserving the entire Fallout ecosphere. And the Doomsday scenario plays out in splendidly executed cinematic compositions. They even throw in a few of the vintage, retro-futuristic cars we find in the game in the show, which is nice. We also get to watch the show's protagonist, Cooper Howard, galloping away from Armageddon on horseback. That's because we learn that Cooper is a famous Hollywood cowboy actor who now finds himself chasing down and shooting communists in the movies. Yeah, that's a communist cowboy right there, partner. Cooper's been informed that Hollywood is on an anti-communist campaign. We also learn that Cooper is a red-blooded patriotic American, a veteran of the Battle of Anchorage, where he fought Chinese red communists.
I wore the T-45 when we almost lost the great state of Alaska to the Reds.
So the show is set amidst the commie witch hunts of McCarthyism during the 1950s Red Scare that led to many Hollywood actors, writers and directors blacklisted for their alleged communist affiliations. But Cooper Howard is no communist. No, sir. He embraces capitalism and isn't ashamed to earn a paycheck from the man.
Well, this is America. Everybody has a sponsor, and I'm not ashamed to earn a living.
What makes Cooper Howard an outcast, a communist, is that he's accepted a paycheck from Vault-Tec Corporation to be their brand spokesman. Yeah, worse than being a communist. Cooper is a capitalist. He agrees to promote Vault-Tec's fallout shelters, or vaults, that people with enough money can buy to escape a future nuclear apocalypse. In this alternative Fallout world, corporate bigwigs are the new communists. Even though in one Vault-Tec commercial, Cooper clearly mentions red communists as the reason for the bunkers.
Now that right there is Vault 4's 3-foot thick lead casing, strong enough to keep out the rads and the reds.
It's made clear that being a pitchman for Vault-Tec is the reason Cooper becomes a persona non grata in Hollywood.
I think Hollywood actor friends don't want to be seen celebrating with the pitchman for the end of the world.
For this, he is labelled, of all things, a communist. Now, there are other communists in the show, but they're not your usual red Chinese communists or Russian Marxist-Leninist communists. Oh no, the real communists in the show are actually the good guys. Yup, they want to gift the world free energy.
Infinite energy. That's what I was on the verge of achieving when Vault-Tec swept in and bought up every company I'd ever worked for.
But the evil oligarchs, the billionaires, evil corporations won't stand for that. And in case you missed it, there's this throwaway line in the show that's actually quite astonishing. We hear the leader of the Hollywood communists, Lee Moldaver, also known as Kate Williams, tell Cooper this.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
That's right. The word communist is just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane. Heavens to Betsy, folks. What a mindfunk. So by that logic, Chairman Mao, Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, they're the sane ones. By that logic, who wouldn't want to be a communist? It's gone from a pejorative to a compliment. Talk about Orwellian doublespeak. And so the major difference between the Fallout video game and the Fallout television show is that communism is no longer the boogeyman, the big threat. No, it's the evil corporations who are the real villains. And they shoot the meeting of the evil corporations very much like Kubrick filmed The War Room in Dr. Strangelove, with the deranged generals setting off the end of the world. Which, I have to admit, is very well done. An America under corporations is worse than an America under communism. And we're all in trouble if Vault-Tec gets its way.
We're here to offer you an opportunity. We'd like to collaborate on some of our vaults.
Because it was the spirit of competition that made our companies great. We have over 100 vaults spread across America. Enough for each of you to claim several. Play out your own ideas for how to create the perfect conditions for humanity, whatever you want to do. No one needs to know. And may the best idea win. Bud here has an idea of dropping the bomb ourselves. A nuclear event would be a tragedy, but also an opportunity. Perhaps the greatest opportunity in history. Because when we are the only ones left, there will be no one to fight. A true monopoly.
What if people are still alive on the surface?
That isn't an issue. Our vaults have the resources to survive for centuries. Meanwhile, our competitors, every other human who isn't us, will be dead on the surface.
Ah, yes. Evil capitalists, not communists, are the real menace to freedom, to peace, to prosperity. If you don't believe the communists have succeeded in their plans to destroy America from within, you haven't been watching television. They are now the good guys. All that is left is for the workers of the world to unite and throw off the shackles and chains of their monopoly masters. They are the real threat. Communists? Why, that's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane. Wake up, America. The Reds are already at the door. Our only hope remains this guy, Liberty Prime.
Liberty Prime, Mark II. Primary targets: any and all red Chinese invaders.
It shouldn't take a giant nuke-lobbing robot to remind us that
Communism is the very definition of failure.
Man, I love that guy. Anyway, it doesn't really matter if it's capitalism or communism or religious fanaticism or greed or just some crazy person or group that brings about the end of the world as we know it. In the end, from the rubble, there will arise some power, some ideology that will have to put back the pieces of our world, in some shape or fashion. And my guess is that, as always, the strong will rule over the weak. The ancient Greeks had a saying that went like this: the strong do what they can, and the weak endure what they must. I don't know about you, but in any future apocalypse, I'm going to side with the group that has the bigger guns. The vertibirds, the miniguns raining fire from the sky like I'm doing right now. At the end of the day, as the brutal Fallout world has always taught, war never changes. Neither do people. Choose wisely and hope for the best. And I'll see you in the apocalypse from my perch in the sky behind this minigun and with my faithful companion by my side. Thanks for watching. I really do love the new Fallout TV show, despite, that bit about communists being the sane ones.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
I just can't believe that dirty pinko commie Marxist witch said that. Anyway, and look forward to season 3 and also to your comments on this video. Cheers, mates. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.